Welcome to Gurukul Live Lectures. I am Professor Namita Rajput, Professor in Department of Commerce, Sri Aurobindo College, University of Delhi. In the ongoing series of emotional intelligence, today we will be talking more on personal competence, its importance, scope and the nature. As we all know that the emotional intelligence is all about self-management, how we do it in the personal lives, whether dealing with the stress at home, navigating your personal challenges, maintaining a mental well-being, self-awareness and emotional control are very essential. It is required with a high personal competence and is better equipped when you recognize your own emotional triggers, your emotional aspects in the relationship, professional growth and the leadership, educational and skill development. That is, the personal competence also plays a very critical role in the educational settings. For the learners, educators, managing stress, staying motivated, controlling their emotions is very important. For the learners, it is important for remaining focused, maintaining test anxiety, staying motivated to achieve the organizational educational goals. For the educators, it is also important in handling the student behavior, maintaining patience, managing stress in the challenging teaching environment. Now, as far as the social relationships and the communication is concerned, it significantly affects the social interactions. So, managing conflicts by regulating their own emotions, avoiding escalation, building healthy relationships by controlling any kind of impulsive reaction, and also the ability to manage the emotions effectively has a direct impact on the mental and the physical aspects. So, the nature of the personal competence is rooted in emotional intelligence. It includes a combination of self-awareness, emotional strength, emotional regulation and also the personal motivation. So, these elements are working together to help the individuals navigate their emotional world in a very productive manner. So, what is important is your self-awareness. You need to have a reflective nature, a deep nature in which you can reflect yourself that what happened in that situation. You need to be proactively talking about your regulations of the emotions. Also need to be personal competence is very closely linked to an individual's ability to stay motivated despite the emotional challenges like setting your personal professional goals, working towards it, emotional energy and also overcoming your emotional obstacles. So, you need to use your emotions very constructively to fuel for the achievement and the success. Also, adaptability and flexibility are the key factors which helps the individual stay flexible in your response to change and also allowing them to handle any kind of unexpected challenges without becoming emotionally overwhelmed. So, you need to adjust your plans and actions accordingly. We also need to embrace a change as a part of growth rather than resisting it due to the emotional conflicts. So, coming on to the personal competence allows them to calmly actually assess the situation, lead their team to meet the new requirements. Optimism and resilience, they are also playing a very vital role in the personal competence, and individuals with the high emotional intelligence, they see the challenges as the opportunities, bounce back from the setbacks or the failures, use positive thinking to overcome the negative concerns. So, now coming on to the major part, that is, what are the advantages and the disadvantages of the personal competence in the emotional intelligence. The personal competence is a very critical aspect and a component of the emotional intelligence. It brings a range of advantages to the individuals, but it also presents some challenges or the disadvantages depending on its developmental level. Understanding both the sides can really help the individuals maximize the benefits of the personal competence while being aware of the potential limitations. Let's talk about the advantages of the personal competence. The first is your enhanced self-awareness. Individuals with a strong personal competence possess a heightened sense of self-awareness. This allows them to understand their emotions, recognize the emotional triggers, and be aware of how their actions impact the others. Better emotional regulations. The personal competence enables the individuals to manage their emotions effectively, avoiding the impulsive reactions in a stressful situation. Now, what are the benefits out of it? With the improved emotional regulations, the individuals can stay calm under the pressure, handle the criticism very gracefully, and manage the conflicts very constructively. This helps in maintaining the productive relationships and the emotional well being. Increased resilience is another advantage of the personal competence in emotional intelligence. The personal competence fosters the resilience by helping the individual bounce back from the failures or the setbacks. It strengthens their ability to overcome adversity without becoming emotionally overwhelmed. Now, this ability to preserve enhances the mental health, prevent the burnouts, and actually enables a continued progress towards the goal despite the obstacles. Improved goal setting and achievement. People with a high personal competence are often motivated and driven by a desire for self motivation. They actually tend to set the clear personal and the professional goals and work towards achieving them, using the emotional regulations to stay focused. Now, what are the benefits? This contributes to the higher productivity, better career prospects, and the personal fulfillment as they can stay motivated even in the challenging circumstances. Better adaptability. The personal competence helps the individual adjust to the changing circumstances, whether it's a shift in the professional duties or a personal challenge. They can manage their emotions and respond flexibly. What are the benefits? This adaptability ensures that they stay effective and positive even in uncertain environment, leading to a success in dynamic and the fast paced settings. Strong interpersonal relationships. While personal competence focuses on the self management, it also positively impacts the social interactions. By understanding and regulating their emotions, individuals communicate more clearly, handle the conflicts better, and build the trust in the relationships. Now, what are the benefits? This leads to a healthier, more supportive relationships, both in the personal life and in the professional environment. Now, greater mental and the physical health. What are the advantages of this? Emotional regulations and the stress management, which are the key components of the personal competence, contribute directly to better mental and the physical health. The individuals with a strong personal competence experience a less anxiety and the stress, which in turn lowers the risk of the stress related illness and actually promote the overall well-being. These were the advantages of the personal competence in the emotional intelligence. We will now be talking about the disadvantages or the challenges of the personal competence. The first and the foremost aspect of the personal competence disadvantages in the emotional intelligence is a over control of emotions. In some cases, individuals may over regulate their emotions, suppressing them instead of expressing them in also the healthy ways. What are the consequences of it? They can actually lead to some internal stress or the emotional burnout, because whatever they have in heart and mind, they are suppressing instead of expressing it, which can lead to a lot of issues as far as the internal aspects are concerned. So, the internal stress or the emotional burnout are very, very important consequences of this kind of controlling of the emotions. And also, constantly controlling the emotions without an outlet can create a sense of disconnection or the emotional numbness, impacting their mental health and the personal relationships. The second most important disadvantage of the personal competence in the emotional intelligence is the difficulty in asking for the help. People with a high personal competence may become overly self-reliant, and their strong focus on the self-management can sometimes actually prevent them from seeking the support from others when they actually need it. What are the consequences? The consequences are very, very important to discuss here. This can lead to an isolation or exhaustion, as they might take on too much responsibility without delegating or sharing the burden, leading to a burnout or a decreased productivity. The next is your perfectionism. Strong self-awareness and the self-motivation can sometimes lead to actually the perfectionist tendencies. Individuals may set unrealistically high standards for themselves, which can create a lot of stress. Perfectionism can result in a self-criticism, anxiety, and dissatisfaction, especially when the goals are not met as expected. So, this may also hinder a creativity and the risk taking, as individuals might fear the failures. The next aspect, as far as the disadvantage of the emotional and the personal competence is concerned, is actually neglecting and emotional expression. So, when you are neglecting an emotional expression, some individuals with a high personal competence may prioritize the emotional control to the point of not expressing the emotions when also it is appropriate to do it. This may actually make them appear a distant or a detached person, potentially harming the relationship or causing some kind of misunderstandings, as other might perceive them as lacking the empathy or the warmth. The next is your over adaptability. While adaptability is generally a positive trait, over adaptability can become a disadvantage when the individual constantly adjusts their behavior or the emotions to suit the others or the external circumstances. This can lead to a loss of the personal identity or the core values, as individuals may bend too much to the external pressures, becoming the people pleasures or lacking consistency in their actions. The next aspect is your potential for emotional exhaustion. Constant emotional self-regulation can be exhaustive sometimes. Individuals who constantly manage their emotions, especially in the high stress environments, may experience some emotional fatigue. Now, what are the consequences? The emotional exhaustion can lead to a burnout, decreasing the individual's capacity to manage the emotions effectively and causing a breakdown in the personal competence over time. Now, what is an overconfidence? High personal competence, particularly the self-confidence, can sometimes lead to overconfidence, and the individuals may overestimate their abilities, leading to a very, very risky decisions or ignoring the important feedback from others. Overconfidence can result in mistakes or missed opportunities for the growth, as the individuals may become resistant to the constructive criticism or fail to recognize even the core important areas for the improvement. Now, let us discuss some core aspects of the personal competence in emotional intelligence. Personal competence, as a central component of the EI, revolves around an individual's ability to manage their emotions and behavior. The first is your self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to recognize and understand one's own emotions, thoughts and behavior. It involves being conscious of how these elements interact, influence one another, allowing for a better decision making and emotional regulation. Emotional awareness is the ability to perceive and understand one's own emotional states. This involves recognizing the subtle emotional shifts and understanding the impact of emotions on thoughts and actions. The first core aspect of the personal competence in emotional intelligence is the accurate self-assessment. Knowing one's strength and the weakness and being able to evaluate oneself honestly and objectively. This involves an understanding of the personal limits and the areas that need improvement. The self-confidence, a firm belief in one's ability, derived from the self-awareness. Knowing your strength boosts the confidence and enable you to take on the challenges with conviction. So, the self-awareness is the foundation of the personal competence because it allows the individual to recognize what they are feeling, why they are feeling it, and how these emotions influence their actions. This understanding is very essential for the personal growth, emotional control, and developing a meaningful relationship. Let's take an example. A person with a strong self-awareness may notice that they are feeling frustrated after a meeting. Instead of reacting impulsively, they reflect on the emotions, understand its root cause, perhaps unmet expectations or the stress, and choose to address the issue calmly. Self-regulation, that is the emotional self-control. Self-regulation refers to the ability to manage one's emotions and impulses, maintaining control over the emotional reactions in the different situations. It involves using the emotional awareness to respond to challenges in a constructive manner. Now, the key elements as far as the core aspects of the personal competence in emotional intelligence is your impulse control, the capacity to resist the urge to act on immediate emotion or the impulse, especially in the stressful or the emotionally charged situation. Transparency, maintaining honestly and integrity in the emotions and the behavior. This involves being authentic, ensuring that the personal values align with the actions. Adaptability, the ability to adjust one's own emotional responses and the behavior to changing situations. It includes being flexible and open to new ideas without being rigidly controlled by the emotional reactions. The next is your resilience, the emotional strength to recover from the setbacks and handle adversity without losing the control of emotions. Resilience also allows the individual to maintain a positive attitude even during the difficult times. And the emotional strength to recover from the setbacks and handle adversities without losing the control of emotions. Resilience allows the individual to maintain a positive attitude even during the difficult times. The self-regulation is very crucial for maintaining the emotional balance. it helps the individual avoid impulsive reactions, think very clearly, understand the pressure, remain composed in the challenging situations also. So, the emotional control is very essential for both personal relationships and the professional success. Let's take an illustration. An employee receives an unexpected criticism from a supervisor. Instead of reacting defensively or emotionally, they take a deep breath, remain calm, and reflect on the feedback. They use a self-regulation to respond thoughtfully and also constructively. So, these aspects are very, very important. You need to understand the advantages, disadvantages, how you need to respond to a particular situation, how important it is to implement in the actual situations is very, very important. So, definitely there are some aspects, some important issues which needs to be implemented as far as the self-regulation is concerned. Only then you can achieve a state of self-calmness and you can respectfully address to a very, very challenging situation. So, we need to understand these aspects, that is the self-awareness, the reflective nature is very important. You need to proactively see the feelings, reactions, stressful situations, productive behavior in one frame. Like for example, a person who feels anxious before a presentation, he has to regulate his emotions to present the presentation in an impactful manner. Otherwise, the negative emotions will overpower him and he will not be able to address any kind of a situation. Adaptability, flexibility at all circumstances is very important to embrace in a work environment, and definitely if you face a last minute change to a project deadline, rather than feeling frustrated, you need to address, reassess the situation and look at the opportunities which will come onto it. Optimism is at the heart of the personal competence and emotional intelligence in the adverse situations, and the people with a high level of these aspects, they are going to reflect on their situations and go on a productive path. We also need to see the challenges, opportunities, setbacks, bounce back, thinking positively to a negative situation. Only then it is important and you will be able to sail on the situation. Now, I will give you an example here. Once a person experiences any kind of a negative situation, like the proposal is not accepted or the project guidelines are not accepted by your supervisor or your senior, rather than reacting to it in a negative way, it is better to renew your optimism and see that there are some situations in which actually there's something which has gone wrong. So, you need to reflect back to that wrong situation, work towards it, renew your optimism in all cases. So, the personal competence is very, very critical, and you need to see the advantages which are at the code level, at the developmental level, and it all depends on how an individual perceives to such situations. Understanding both the sides can be very helpful in maximizing the benefits of the personal competence while being aware of the potential situation. You need to be showing a high level of enhanced self-awareness. This is very, very important. Better emotional regulation is also very important in a stressful situation. You need to be very effectively adopting it, not showing any kind of impulsive reaction, otherwise you are going to spoil the situation. With any kind of improved emotional regulations, people can gracefully go on to a situation. Even if you are managing with your conflicts, you need to be constructively doing it. This will not only help in maintaining the workplace relationship, but also the productive relationship, emotional relationship and other kind of situations in a very impactful manner. The resilience also is very, very important, as we have addressed earlier. Increased resilience also helps in bouncing back from the situations of the setbacks. It is going to strengthen you, overcome any kind of adversity, and you need to be very calm about and not showing your overwhelmed, emotionally stressed situation. The ability to perceive the mental health, perceive a burnout, prevent a burnout will also help in progressing towards achieving the goals despite a number of obstacles which you will feel. You need to be very thoughtful, mindful about the future goals, goal setting and achievement. So, definitely setting the personal and the professional goals towards achieving them using the emotional regulation to stay focused. So, this contributes to a higher productivity, better career prospects and the personal fulfillment as they stay motivated even in the challenging situation. Better adaptability to the situation is also important, not only for your own self, but stronger interpersonal relationship will also emerge positively in terms of the personal competence in the emotional intelligence. So, by understanding and regulating your emotions, individuals can communicate better, clear, handle the conflicts in a better way, build a trust in all kind of relationship, whether it's official or a personal. This leads to a healthier, more supportive relationship both in the personal life and in the professional environment. Greater mental and the physical health is also important. Now, definitely you need to maintain a balance between the advantages and the disadvantages of the personal competence in the emotional intelligence, because if you are over controlling your emotions, you are going to suppress and affect your mental health, and constantly doing this will also affect your personal relationship. You will stop asking about, even if the help is required, your overly self-reliant aspect will emerge, which is not good sign. So, this can lead to an isolation and exhaustion. It leads to perfectionism, which is also not good in some circumstances. Sometimes you will be neglecting your emotional expression and misunderstanding your own self, and definitely you will lack empathy and warmth in that case. So, over adaptation is also not a positive trait. So, over adaptability can become sometimes a disadvantage when the individuals constantly adjust their behavior or emotions to suit their other external circumstances. So, you need to be very, very thoughtful about your actions, emotional exhaustions and the possible consequences, avoid overconfidence in all cases. So, all these aspects have to be taken in one frame and accurately self-assess yourself and its importance, otherwise it is going to be a problematic thing for you. So, you maintain, control your emotions, reactions in the different situation to respond to a challenging and the constructive manner. Thank you very much.